Hello, everyone. This is the second recording for a series on how to write a paper for a class in philosophy. Let's assume that you now have a topic, and probably that is going to involve that you respond to an argument, a proposal, a theory, an example, something of that sort in one of the readings that you studied over the course of the semester. So once you identified an idea for your topic, the natural thing to do is to go back to that reading and closely reread the passage where the important argument comes up, which you want to examine in your paper. And you make yourself an outline just to be sort of on the safe side that you have a precise sense of what it is that you want to take issue with. Now, it could seem that once you have that, you are ready to write the paper. And I would like to encourage you to take even more time than you already have for preparatory steps. In the first recording, I talked about thinking, about the importance to budget time for thinking about the material you studied. And I said that it is maybe obvious that philosophy includes a lot of thinking, but it can still be tempting to somehow want to be fast with that because you feel you are in a hurry, you have a lot of commitments at the end of the semester. And nevertheless, I suggested that this is really important because it goes to the essence of philosophy. A similar proposal that I have for you is to consider talking about your idea as essential to getting clear about it. That is a kind of distinctive feature of philosophy, I think, that one often is able to precisify one's own ideas by having a conversation about them. And once you have to articulate your argument, you may realize that, well, there is something that you haven't yet quite figured out, or here is something that you need to reread again, or whatever it might be. So, my suggestion is ask a classmate, a friend, your sister, your brother, whoever is willing to sit down with you for a little bit to talk about philosophy, and you tell them about your idea for the paper. And probably they are going to be super nice and they will say it all sounds great. Now, that is a moment for you to be a little bit suspicious, not suspicious of your friend, but of your own ability to explain a complex line of thought. So I would recommend that you push back just a little bit and you ask your friend, what would you say if you had to disagree with me? And then one of two things typically happens. Either your friend surprises you and comes up with this incredibly interesting objection. Well, if that happens, you are in luck because now you have something that is genuinely going to help you improve your paper. You can go home and think about this objection, or you can talk it through with your friend, and you can come up with a version of your own proposal that is going to be improved because you have thought about an objection. But the other thing that often happens is that when you ask your friend, well, tell me what you think, they might admit that they didn't entirely understand what you said. And that is also incredibly helpful because that can often be the beginning of a conversation where you just sort of walk through the steps in your argument to get clear about what is it that maybe needs to be introduced more carefully. Are there any implicit assumptions that you're making that if you don't spell them out, your interlocutor is simply not going to understand what you want to say, and so on and so forth. And those kinds of realizations also help you tremendously in order to get ready to write your paper. So at the end of this kind of conversation, you thank your friend because that has been, an important step toward writing a good paper. And now you're ready to go home and you can write an outline for your paper. And you start with a simple version of, here's my main question. And again, a simple version of, here's what I think I want to argue. And then just a kind of bullet point outline of the steps that you need to take in order to elucidate and defend your proposal. And that is likely to involve that maybe as a first step, you offer a summary of the argument that you respond to. And maybe as a second step, you look more closely at a specific premise, one that you want to take issue with, or a specific example that you want to take issue with, and so on and so forth. So once you have that kind of bullet point outline, I want to suggest you are ready to start writing.